Welcome to Breaking Solo, how solopreneurs break barriers, build brands, and embrace the future of business.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Breaking Solo. I'm excited for my guest today, Scott Keene. Scott, thank you so much for being with me.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Awesome. So, Scott, tell the audience what you do.
I'm I'd say serial solopreneur, but I currently am a professional bookkeeper and payroll specialist.
Awesome. So, what inspired you to go into business solo?
I would say that excuse the cliche, but the solopreneur entrepreneurship is definitely in my blood. I grew up in a family of solopreneurs, and my earliest memories are my parents owned they started with the ice cream stores, but by the time I was a small kid, they had a large restaurant lounge, and so my earliest memories are hanging out in the lounge as my dad got it ready for the day, and my father making Shirley Temples for me and giving me the sugar cubes to keep me quiet while he could do his work. And there was never any doubt in my mind that I would that I would be involved in small business and run businesses myself. I've tried to get out. Uh, I've watched friends, do the corporate world, and as they say, the grass isn't always greener on the other side. And I've tried to go that route, but I have always come back to, running my own businesses, and that's just I've accepted. I've embraced that that's who I am, and that's the comfortable space I'm at. So
That's good. So, tell me, what's been the biggest challenge becoming a solopreneur? And have you overcome it?
I'll answer the first one, the first question first. Challenges is of course not having that corporate paycheck, every 2 weeks, and being a solopreneur, having everything kind of on your shoulders. Yeah, I definitely am one of those people that can be accused of having difficulties delegating at times. As I think a lot of us that are
Yeah, me too.
solopreneurs, yeah, have that issue, and so I take a lot on myself. And I think that's the challenge, is not it's not my job, is not in my vocabulary. That's not my job, is not in my vocabulary. And so I usually have many things going on, and that's the challenge, is not being able to just show up Monday through Friday at schedule. My sister, who I love, I adore, admire and respect, has been a corporate world person. And as I say, the grass always looks so greener on the other side. She's able to close her laptop at the end of the day, at 5 o'clock or whatever time she gets off, and have her work-life balance, where that's where I struggle. And as far as where I struggle too is then, if I thought about quitting, yeah, I don't, how many times today have I thought about quitting? Going back, many times. But again, I know who I am, and I know what's in my blood.
Well, that's good. You know where you're supposed to be. Know your
Yeah.
space.
Yes, I know my space.
So, how did you find your unique niche in the market?
Well, it took some looking. Like, as I mentioned, I from what I grew up in, I thought restaurants and bars, lounges, that type of industry was really what I wanted to get into. And I have ran a restaurant and lounge. But really what I found my current niche is that I've been involved in bookkeeping for since my mom taught me how to bookkeep when I was in my early teens to help with a family business. Back when, believe it or not, QuickBooks was she was deciding between QuickBooks and Peachtree, if anyone remembers Peachtree.
Yep.
And QuickBooks was a new a new software just coming out, and she was deciding between the two of them and decided to go with QuickBooks and taught me how to do accounts receivable and accounts payable to start with. And every position I've had since then, whether it was the restaurant and lounge or a kayak company, a kayak tour company, that darn pandemic, that I had to close down during the pandemic because it was tourist focused on. But every business, obviously, that I've been in, and every corporate job that I was in involved bookkeeping, because it's an aspect that not a lot of people enjoy. I always say that I'm the weird one, that I enjoy bookkeeping. After the pandemic, I think many the world of remote working opened up to many people. I was and mortar was all I knew until that point, and I really started trying to think of, oh, this seems like a great solution, is this remote online video conference world and work from home. And it just became a natural step for me to identify bookkeeping and utilize those skills that I already had. And that, again, going back on 20 years of experience with different industries. And what really found was that I believe it was really a pathway. These other businesses that I was involved with, a restaurant, lounge, and retail stores, and even the waters, adventure tourism industry, they all led to me understanding at a greater depth, the needs for business owners with bookkeeping. Rather than just deciding I wanted to be a bookkeeper, I decided I wanted to be a business owner who helped other business owners with bookkeeping, because that's typically the the greatest difficulty business owners, what I found, is that they're really good at what they do. Say, take a contractor, they're really good at doing their work as a contractor or a chef, cooking, or take whatever specialty it is. But when it comes to bookkeeping, it's a necessary evil. And they tend to fall behind, or they don't quite understand it. And so that's kind of what led me to where I am today.
That's awesome. In the mid 80s, I had a marketing agency working with very small businesses. But what I found was very much like what you said. They didn't have the cash flow to pay for marketing. Part of it was because they didn't know where they stood. So
Right.
I started actually helping them develop a budget first,
Yes.
and then would work them into having money to pay for my services.
Yeah, and that's something that I often find where I probably care, if this is possible, care too much, where maybe another, another bookkeeper or someone, it may be easier for them. And I'm saying this is a fault. This is a, for me, this is a struggle I have as far as is personal boundaries, is that, as I do care too much, because I really want to see my clients succeed. And I have a lot of scope slide or scope, where y- that I find where, like, I'll look at their books, ahead of time, and I'm going, I don't know if they're going to be able to pay me at the beginning of next month. And so, that's one of the big things I focus on, is not only just bookkeeping, but it's more of almost a I know it's a buzzword right now, but almost a fractional CFO or CFO advisory type of role that I found myself in, where I thought I imagined this quote easy just bookkeeping, but I truly find where it's really about, as you said, assisting people find find where they're at, and most often people have no idea how much money they're making, if they made money on a job, if they lost money on the job. Is it worth it? Are they, and so that's,
Exactly.
really what I do and try and help people with,
Well,
and
they're
have
lucky
to do,
to
and
have
have to
somebody
do
prepared.
myself, you know.
Yeah, really. So, do you see any industry trends that solopreneurs should be paying attention to right now?
The I wish I could talk about AI, because that's the hot topic. What I would like to, what I personally would like to see, or I personally believe, is that, that might be where a lot of big companies are going, and there's definitely tools in AI. And I know you didn't ask me specifically about AI, but a lot of people are thinking about how to push their business into AI. Bookkeeping. I mean, I see people see every day that there's not going to be accountants anymore. There's not going to be bookkeepers anymore. There's not going to be this or that because of AI. And I know that's not true, because AI just can't get it right. It's really as a tool, and I feel that solopreneurs, what people really want is that personal touch back. They've seen, just, and I don't want to put words in anyone else's mouth. So, for me, I mean, look at self-check stands, self-checkout stands. I mean, I personally, I use them all the time. Sometimes I can be I can be an introvert. I can just go to a self-checkout. I know how to use them. I'm in and out the store, no problem. I didn't have to talk to anyone. But then, if I'm buying a bottle of wine for my wife, and it needs to check my ID, I'm clearly 21, and the little light is, beeping that it needs to be checked, and there's no one around, and then I'm stuck there, and then the line is backing up, and I'm starting to sweat because I'm an introvert, you know, and
Yeah,
and
you
I'm
want
holding
all
up the
attention to
line.
yourself.
When the whole point was I'm so quick at this, self-check. We've watched the technology kind of go that way, and I think people are, the public is moving, it has a need for some personal touch again. And I know when I personally look for the company that developed my website, that did a wonderful job, or different tools that I use in my business, I really look for uh, someone to speak to, someone that I can ask questions to. If I just get a chat bot that doesn't help me whatsoever, I move on. So I think to answer your question, that focus would be is coming back to, and that's why I chose bespoke in my name, is to kind of bring back some of that personal touch back into business, to actually work with a human. And I think there's a lot of room there for people to utilize and expand into, and to really bring that back. For a lot of younger, and not to put younger people on blast at all, but a lot of the younger generation that grew up with everything being so automated, it's it's kind of a new thing for them to have personal touch. And it seems so nice to have someone actually come over and ask if you need help, or to in my younger years I worked for Nordstrom, believe it or not, and to have someone say, "Oh, that's a beautiful, that's a beautiful shirt," or those are, can I help you find pants that would match that? That type of personal service that I think is missing from the world, or a lot of people aren't used to. I think there's a lot of where people can utilize that now.
Yeah, for sure. So you mentioned tools. What's one tool, app, or resource you absolutely can't live without in your business?
Well, definitely my accounting software and my calendar. That's for sure. And although I just said personal touch more is, the video conferencing, uh, tools, Zoom, Google Meet, whatever it is that people are most, now I know now I've learned Riverside, as far as, podcasts and, I would definitely say, for me, the keeping organized calendars, is definitely I couldn't live without. Different I help clients with across different time zones, and I use a tool. I'm looking at it right now. I have a dedicated screen that has nine time zones across it, with
Oh, wow.
a red line showing my current time across all the time zones. And it's called World Calendar. There's many tools, to, as I'm sure to work out, time zones and meetings, and I'd say, if I didn't have that, I'd be absolutely lost.
That's a
If
good
I'm
tool to
helping
have
someone on
then.
the East Coast and I'm in Hawaii, or I'm physically in Tokyo, Japan, as we speak right now, which makes it even more complicated because I'm a day ahead. So without those tools, I would be absolutely lost.
Wow, that's amazing. Okay, tell me what kind of daily habits or routines help you stay focused and productive?
I get up very early, and that's just my personal habit to get up early when the house is still quiet. Um, accounting, bookkeeping, is difficult when just the city noises, the daily house noises are going on. Um And, it's really kind of I started off the day, I get up, make sure the computer's working to begin with. Lately I've done the whole why is the Wi-Fi not working this morning routine. And so the last thing I want to do is start off the day with a meeting and the Wi-Fi not working. So I give myself some good time. And so my routine is get up, make sure everything's working, go through the emails, prioritize if there's any fires that came up overnight that I need to address, that I need to reprioritize my to-do list, and then either take care of those right away, or, go through my regular routine of keeping my maintenance up so that my maintenance doesn't become a fire. Because if you don't keep your regular stuff up, it becomes a fire. Payroll, as I last week when I had to reschedule, I had a payroll, issue come up that I needed to take care of, and that's really, it's just kind of I like doing it when the house is quiet. So
That
I g
makes
I
sense.
get up early and take care of everything, and when everything is sort of taken care of, then everyone else starts waking up, and then I go downstairs and make my wife a cup of coffee and take the dogs out, and then the rest of the day, it is kind of a trickle from there. I can go to my desk, work a little bit, then go back and join the family, and then go back and check emails and whatnot. But really, it's that quiet time when everyone else is asleep, is my really productivity time.
That makes sense. Okay, what's one piece of advice that you'd give somebody that's just starting their solopreneur journey?
Don't give up. Just don't give up. I made the joke earlier that I've been, it's actually only 5:30 in the morning in Tokyo. I've probably wanted to give up 3 times already today. Yeah, I'd be dramatic, but don't give up if you found a passion. Most people, solopreneurs, they're doing it because they have a passion. They're chefs, they're dog groomers, there's so many different passions that people have decided to make their business. And I guess my two pieces of advice are: don't give up, because it gets hard, and you want to give up. And um and the other piece of advice I would give is that don't ever lose the passion part. Don't let the passion become a job. You can vent, you can be frustrated, you can say, why did I ever, I say this all the time. I mean, I'm weird. I enjoy numbers, enjoy bookkeeping. Not everyone does. It's strange. But every day I say, why did I choose this? But that's what I would tell people is don't give up, because as soon as that's the key difference to going back into the corporate world and then making it. And making it is different for everyone, of course, but is if it truly is what you want, it's going to be hard. And just persevere. Read a book. Yeah, I picked up your book. Thank you so much. Want to,
Yeah.
I want to, I've got it right here, and it's been inspirational to me. Personally, I'm like, maybe I should write a book, but
You should.
uh, so that's my biggest piece of advice is just don't give up when it gets tough. And go, have your group of your circle of support. Hopefully your spouse and friends are supportive of you, or you have a mentor. A mentor is a big thing. And just keep moving forward. I'm from the country, and our the saying is always, you fall off the horse, dust yourself off,
Get back
get
up.
back on the horse. And that's really what I believe being a solopreneur is you're gonna fall off the horse. But and it's okay to fall off. It's okay to lay in the excuse me, lay in the dirt for a few minutes and feel sorry for yourself. That's life. But what separates people, I believe, is how long you lay in the dirt. And the sooner you get up and dust yourself off and you get back on that horse, the sooner you grow as a person, and the next level you take your business to.
Yeah, that's so true. You don't fail until you give up, till you quit.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, exactly. I was trying to come up with that saying. So I'm glad you used it. Yeah, exactly. You don't fail till you give up. So as long as you don't give up, you haven't failed.
Exactly. So do you have any exciting projects or launches that you'd like to share with the audience?
Yeah, the the biggest thing I have working on right now is what I've really found, that started with my own parents. That in the back, in the past, was they worked so hard throughout my life, taking care of their employees. I mean, not only my sister and I, growing their businesses, but focused on their employees, and focused on they really sacrificed. We sacrificed family trips, and dinners, and school event. And I'm not bitter. I always understood. I grew up in the I grew up in it. I totally understood. Um, but what I really saw with them is when they wound down and went to retire, the only person they didn't take care of was themselves. And I mean this in the nicest way, but my parents end up seeing this or hearing this. Is that I think a lot of solopreneurs miss that part. They take very good care of their employees and their business, and then it comes to retirement, and oops, they didn't have a 401k, they didn't have a pension, they didn't have retirement, they didn't have and so they find themselves struggling in that. And so my newest thing that I'm really kind of launching is really focusing on the is helping business owners with that piece of the puzzle. So I just am finishing up my licensing to be able to help business owners get help themselves as far as future financial planning, whether that's even disability, if they get hurt, overhead insurance. What happens if you get in a car accident and you still, and you can't help yourself. So, you still need to pay your employees, you still need to pay overhead or, just those features. So that's my new big thing, is to really start moving not out of bookkeeping, but into advising and helping business owners into helping them help themselves. And for when it does come time to either pass the torch to, I don't have kids, but if they have kids they're going to hand the business to, or sell the business, is so that they can ride off into the sunset and feel that they accomplished something. And so that's my next kind of piece of the puzzle, is not just the bookkeeping aspect, but the building wealth, and then also protecting yourself in case of you get hurt, or just retirement in general.
Yeah. What a lot of solopreneurs don't realize, or I just say in general, the public doesn't realize, is that retirement now can last 20 or 30 years.
Yes.
Where
Yeah.
it used to be, maybe 10 years. It's not like that anymore. So if you haven't planned, you could be in big trouble.
Yes. Yeah. And there's and even in the corporate, and I won't go, I mean, I won't go into a whole thing, but even in the corporate world, there's people that have spent their entire corporate world putting money away into a 401k, or something that with all of us living longer,
Yeah.
hopefully, at least is my plan. Sometimes I go, oh, another 20 years. I don't know if I want another 20 or 30 or 40 years. 40 years, I guess, for me. But is that yeah, the money running out, and will Social Security be there? Is that enough?
Yeah, probably
For
not.
some people there is. For a lot of people, and it's not. And that's a big reality check for not only solopreneurs, but for the public in general, these days. Yeah.
Okay, tell the audience, Scott, where they can connect with you and learn more about what you do.
You can go to the best way is my website, which is bespoke bookkeeping. You got to watch out for those double K's. It's bespokebookkeeping.com. That's the best way to find me, and schedule appointment or read about the company and whatnot. So that's the best
Awesome.
way.
Okay, so audience, I will make certain that link is in the show notes. Scott, thank you so much for being a guest today. I thoroughly enjoyed our conversation.
I've really enjoyed it. I've really enjoyed your book. I'm not entirely done yet, because the update you had with it. So I'm rereading it just to make sure that I didn't miss anything. But I've really very much enjoyed being on your show. I appreciate you inviting me and for giving me the time to speak and plug my business a little bit as well. So I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here. All right,
Yeah,
guys,
thank
we'll
you.
be back. We'll be back for the next episode, and thank you for listening. Bye.
Thank you. Aloha.